Okay, this is still kind of an introduction, but I just want to give you a brief history of boxing. I promise you this will be the least interesting part of the video, but I think any boxing course should at least give you a tiny bit of background about the history of boxing. So this comes from my book, and let me just read it to you a little bit. I may redo this video to make it more entertaining with pictures and things like that, but for now I'm just going to read from my book, get this out of the way. You can skip over it if you want. The most important thing is this is actionable information. This is not about learning new facts or things like that. This is about learning information for you to take action on and to join your own boxing gym or make your own boxing gym at home. So here we go. Alright, the most popular form of exercise in the United States, not surprisingly, is walking and running. The second most form of exercise is weightlifting, and finally hiking. My guess is if these people tried boxing before anything else, it would be the top. I've done all three forms of exercise and many others, including yoga, basketball, baseball, swimming, and CrossFit. If I had to pick one that I could go for, that I could do for the rest of my life, it would hands down be boxing. Boxing is addictive. It's not just physically addictive, it's emotionally addictive as well. What other sport can help you build strength, shed pounds, reduce stress, build confidence, allow you to be creative and artistic with your movement and become more coordinated in the process? Boxing pushes you like no other sport does. Boxing holds you accountable in a way no other sport can. If you don't put in the training, you won't see the results. You can't fake boxing. If you're not eating well, you'll definitely feel it in the boxing gym. The goal of this book and this course is to introduce you to the world of boxing and fitness boxing. If you've already started boxing, this book will help you improve your skills and even further. I hope after you're finished taking this course, you'll come to the same realization that I've come to, just how addictive and a good life-affirming way boxing is. Alright, so if you're like most people, if you don't enjoy something, you won't stick with it. Eventually, as life throws you curveballs, as you take on new responsibilities, as your willpower fades, you eventually give up on well-intentioned workout plans. I've been boxing for more than 10 years and still haven't lost my passion for it. Boxing is one of those things that is still the highlight of my day. It feels great from the boxing movements to getting out your stress in a constructive way, learning new skills, making new friends, facing new challenges, learning new life lessons. It's a lot of fun. Boxing has so many benefits, it keeps you coming back in a way no other sport can compete with. Your workout routine isn't something you dread. With boxing, it's something you look forward to. My journey in the world of boxing all started about 12 years ago when I picked up the Tony Horton DVD workout program called P90X. According to Wikipedia, in 2010, P90X sales dropped off dramatically. However, it still represented half of Beachbody's $430 million in revenue in 2010 and has sold over 4.2 million copies. P90X was and continues to be a huge program for the Beachbody company. One of the most enjoyable workouts had to be martial arts and the boxing program. I've always enjoyed watching boxing and UFC up until that point, but only discovered how enjoyable the sport was when I began doing those P90X exercises. On the side note, in college I bought 2 sets of cheap boxing gloves on eBay. My college friends and I used to have all-out, no hits to the face boxing matches in our college dorm room. We didn't know what we were doing, so they're always fun, and luckily no one got hurt. Well, except that one time there was an accidental headbutt, but I'm here to this day, so now on to the brief history of boxing. Like I said, this is going to be the most boring part of the course, but I just want to get this out of the way, give you a little base to where I'm coming from, and just read from this book. But the rest will be demonstration, I promise you. So, boxing as an Olympic sport may have its origins in 688 BC, ancient Greek Olympic Games, and that's according to Wikipedia. There are no rounds and no weight classes, so as you would expect, heavyweights dominated. The earliest known depiction of boxing comes from the Sumerian relief in Iraq from the 3rd millennium BCE. Later depictions from the 2nd millennium BC are found in reliefs from Mesopotamian nations of Assyria and Babylonia, and the Hittite art from the Asian Minor. The earliest evidence for fist fighting with any kind of glove can be found in the Minoan, Crete, 650 to 1400 BCE, and on Sardinia, if we consider boxing statues of Prama Mountains. And that's from Wikipedia as well. Alright, so amateur boxing differs from professional boxing in that it's about scoring points and not delivering damage. Amateur boxing can be found on the college level in Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and many boxing associations. Bouts consist of 3 rounds of 3 minutes in the Olympic and Commonwealth Games, and 3 rounds of 3 minutes in the National ABA Amateur Boxing Association bout. Each with 1 minute interval between rounds. Competitors wear protective headgear and gloves with white strip or circle across the knuckles. Olympic boxing uses 5 judges to determine outcome of a match. Professional boxing. So you're probably most aware of professional boxing. Professional boxing matches go much longer. The matches range from 10 to 12 rounds. For the majority of the professional matches, there are some variations depending on boxing clubs and country. In a professional boxing match, headgear is not permitted. The fight is stopped if one fighter cannot defend themselves or is injured. Losing a fight in the manner is called a TKO, or technical knockout. A fighter has 10 seconds to get back up if knocked down before the fight is stopped by a referee. When a fighter cannot get back up or finish the fight after 10 seconds, this is called a KO, or knockout. If a boxer is not knocked out, the outcome will be decided by 3 judges. There are many additional rules in amateur and professional boxing, but to the average person, the aforementioned are the basics. Modern day USA boxing. The National Boxing Association was formed in 1921. Boxing really took off with Sugar Ray Robinson until he lost his last title win in 1955. Then exploded in popularity with Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman in the 60s and 70s. During my growing up, there was Mike Tyson, and now currently superstars like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Boxers were kings in years past, but now boxing competes with every other sport on TV. Forget just the UFC. You now have the NFL, MLB, NBA, MLS, NHL. Oh yeah, so yeah, you now have the NFL, MLB, NBA, MLS, NHL, and WWE, just to name a few sports distractions. It's an old argument, but the UFC took a lot of boxing fans with them. UFC might seem by some as a more pure form of combat sports than boxing. I think the attractiveness of the UFC is it solves the age-old dilemma: if you were in a real street fight, who would win? Most likely it wouldn't be the boxer. You would probably need to come from an MMA background with experience in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and boxing at a minimum. Because boxing limits what you can do, I think it actually makes it that much more interesting. For example, take the latest boxing match between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. People wanted to see how Conor McGregor would fare when he was limited to using just his arms and boxing skills. I think there's something to be said when you limit one form of martial arts and see who is the best at it. So even though boxing is thought to be on the decline, there has been viewer records broken. Take, for example, the recent pay-per-view broadcasts of Pacquiao, Mayweather, and McGregor. People are willing to pay top dollar for boxing matches that interest them. For the matches, though, have to be what people want to see. The boxing contest should be scored fairly, and people putting on these matches have to stay consistent. If anyone is interested in learning more about the history of boxing, there's a great article on the Art of Manliness blog, and that's artofmanliness.com, titled "Boxing: A Manly History of Sweet Science of Bruising." It's very thorough on the subject of boxing and goes more in depth. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately for some, this book is not about the history. This course is not about the history of boxing. It's about getting into boxing right now. So disinterest, and finally eureka. I gradually began to lose interest in the P90X exercise programs. There's something that doesn't feel right about working out by yourself and sweating on your brand new carpet with your dog watching. I wanted to be around people, have a real trainer, punch something physical. Try boxing out for real. A couple years later, a friend of mine heard of this boxing gym downtown that he wanted to try out. He said I should go along. I'm glad I did, because that's one decision That one decision changed the course of my life. From that day forward, I was hooked. I finally found my workout routine and a home away from home. The decision moved me out of my traditional weightlifting and cardio gym to a boxing gym. My friend unfortunately lost a weightlifting